Um, Good evening. Could you please introduce yourself?
Good evening, Celien. I'm Dirk Leemans, and I'm 50 years old. I work since 24 years for Colruyt.
And what did you study?
Well, I'm an industrial engineer, and I started in IT within Colruyt, um, in the IT department linked to the supply chain. So supply chain is one of my common grounds or common themes within my career.
You were an expat. To which country did you go?
Well, I went 2 times to India when I was still in the IT department of Colruyt, because Colruyt has started an own company in India, in Hyderabad. And first time I was there for 1 month. Second time I was there for more than 3 months.
Okay. So a little bit more about living abroad. Is a knowledge of the national language necessary?
Yes, of course. If you want to communicate, of course, in India, it's difficult in the local Hindu language because I don't know or I don't speak Hindi. But English is for those people who did or had a higher education is English and a second mother tongue.
So all the conversations were in English.
Yes, of course. In IT, everyone speaks English very well because they also studied in English.
And your work-life balance, was there a difference between working in India or working in Belgium?
Yes, of course, there was a difference. Here in Belgium, I have my family, I have my children. In India, I was there, of course, without them. So in the evening, I used things like Skype to communicate, but I was much more, or I spent much more time at the workplace than here in Belgium. In the weekends, we had some time off, of course, but working days were long days there.
So your lifestyle was completely different.
Well, not completely different, but it was not the same balance as here, let's say. I spent much more time to my job than I do here now at this moment in Belgium.
And do you think that religion or gender plays a big role into the culture of India?
Yes, religion is very important for them. You have Hindi, you have different religions, of course. Islam is an important religion. Catholics, you have also Catholics, but yes, these people are really they really believe much more in God and religion in general than we do here in Western Europe.
And a little bit more about working abroad. Did your job content change, or did you used to do the same thing as you would here in Belgium?
Well, it didn't change really that much. As a IT manager, I was there to introduce them much more in the Colruyt culture, to inform them about our strategic projects. So it was really important when we started, in the meanwhile, more than 10 years ago, with our own company, IT company in India, that they really felt as a part of Colruyt Group. That was one of my assignments, one of my challenges. How can I give them a better picture of what Colruyt stands for, what are the values of Colruyt.
And do you feel you were treated differently because you were from Belgium?
No, not really. I felt a very big respect for me as person, as a manager. So no, I didn't feel not really a big difference.
But they looked up to you.
Yes, yes, that's part of their culture. They really look to in a very hierarchical way.
Okay, and adapting abroad. I mean, was it your own choice to move, or did you have to because of Colruyt?
No, it was my own choice, but of course Colruyt offered me the opportunity.
Okay.
But it was not an obligation.
And did you experience a culture shock or something shocking or eye-opening?
Yes, of course. Going to India is for the first time is always a culture shock. You see very much the differences between the different castes. As you know, they have a caste system, and yeah, you really see it also between people who have the same master studies. But if you are a part of a higher caste or part of a lower caste, you can see it in really small details sometimes, but you feel and you see the difference. And of course, if you visit cities like Calcutta or New Delhi, you really see people living on the street without home, and you see people with big cars. You see it also for example, in New Delhi, you have the new part of the city, New Delhi. You have Old Delhi. Well, Old Delhi, you see there people living really in very poor circumstances. New Delhi, you can compare it with Brussels. A lot of big buildings, companies. It's just, you can compare it with America or with Western Europe. But Old Delhi, that's really a very poor environment.
And for them, you were part of a higher class then, because they had a lot of respect for you.
Yeah, they usually they have a lot of respect for Europeans. They see us as very wealthy people, so that's respect. You have it from the beginning.
And one last question: if you can give any advice, what would it be?
Well, I would say if you ever had the chance to go to India, you have to do it. And don't be afraid of the big contrasts between poor and rich, because it's a very interesting country to visit, and also to see how they invest in infrastructure, in knowledge. I think it's one of the upcoming economies. Undoubtedly.
Okay, thank you very much for this interview.
It's a pleasure. Please.